Today we're going to discuss 5 different boxing guards, how you're going to keep yourself safe, and what the options are in regards to your hands. You need to understand the possibilities and figure out which one of these styles is right for you. On your very first day that you walk in a gym, the first thing they're going to do is teach you, okay, you take a step forward and this is your guard. And sometimes that's all the information we get. We don't understand the fundamentals that make these guards effective. What are the pros? What are the cons? So today I'm going to break down the 5 most basic ones for you so you can understand how you can up your skill set. If you are wanting to increase your striking skills beyond just these YouTube videos, head over to Strike Ready Combat, where my online training courses will help you level up through offense, defense, and takedowns. You'll learn exactly the tactics, the strategies, and the techniques I use to win glory belts, Bellator belts, and all these other ones behind me. Now, let's talk first about the conventional guard, the one that you learn the day you walk in the gym. Most likely what they're going to tell you is you're going to have one shoulder slightly forward, therefore your back hand can come up to your cheek, and the other hand will be about 6 inches in front. This is your conventional guard, and this is one that very often is going to serve you best for that outside range. Now, there will always be different opinions on how high your hand should go, but if I was going to teach somebody, I would say, let's get those hands up to about this level. So the top of the glove is almost in line with that hairline. I find right there, that's an easy way for me to make a small adjustment if it's coming very high, but I can also still protect the majority of my body. Now I want to have a space between the hands. The downside of this guard is obviously if somebody gets tight to me and I continue to stay here, I'm going to have trouble defending anything off this side. Any right hooks are going to be very difficult to block because there's this big gaping hole. But when we are fighting at more of a distance, this allows me to snap my jab out faster because this arm is already in the lead. As opposed to here, I already have it here. So this is going to be a faster jab. It also makes it easy for me to parry those longer shots, right? Anything that comes down the middle, I can just tap and get this lead arm or the back one in the way. Again, the conventional guard is the one that you want to utilize from that outside range, either with little steps or with just a little bit of a bounce. Now from there, let's move into the high guard. A high guard is very similar to that conventional one, but this lead arm is going to suck back into the head. And usually as I do that, my shoulders will square up. I don't want to keep this shoulder in front and bring this hand in. That does not feel natural. I square up. And now my hands are going to be very high and very tight. For many people, they feel like the high guard exposes their torso, but that's very simply because they don't curl. They don't curl that six-pack tight together and round out through the back. That in itself will allow you to drop those elbows a little bit lower. Another concern that many people have with the high guard is they feel their vision is impaired. They can't see anything coming from the outside, and that is because their hands are too low. When my hands are right here, yes, I can only see right down the middle. So bring those hands up a little higher, and you'll see right away how now I can see uppercuts, hooks, and straight punches coming, as opposed to here. Yes, your elbows come a little bit higher, but that's fine because you curl that back in preparation for possible body shots. What are the downsides of this guard? Well, number one, there's going to be a little bit more arm fatigue. If you hold this all the time and your shoulders are not conditioned, it's going to be much more tiring than the ones where your hands are here or out like this because you're really having to snug those shoulders up high. So you might feel that a little bit. In addition, head movement is much more difficult because with those high hands, your head is that much bigger. When my hands are down here, my head is head size. But as soon as the gloves go up, all of a sudden there's a much bigger striking surface. So if I do my traditional slip, which is just going to be a couple inches, I'm still going to end up getting caught on the glove, and that will probably allow the person to land follow-up shots. So this is more one where you get into that tight range, you keep your hands up, you do something to wrap them up, block a couple shots, counter, block a couple shots, move your feet, and then you go to an alternative guard. Now let's talk about the cross guard next. This is something we do not see that often. Maybe in the past, people like George Foreman, now so maybe UFC fighter like Dustin Poirier, they'll be here and they'll bring those arms out and across from here or here. And what they're looking to do is make it very difficult for anybody to land a shot that comes straight down the middle or around to the side, only at head level, and they're gonna have trouble getting past those forearms. The forearms just get in the way. But I feel like this one, unless you are very naturally attuned to it, it's gonna cause more difficulty than good for you, because the uppercuts are right there for the opening. And of course the body is very open. And I'm not always a big fan of blocking shots with stationary arms when they're extended from your head. If you're gonna go stationary, I prefer a high guard as opposed to this cross guard, but each to their own. And if you are looking to do this one, you wanna recognize that counters, straight counters, are not gonna work well. Right? If I'm up here and I go to throw a counter with a jab or a cross, it's just more of a tricep flick. So it's going to be more blocking and coming with uppercuts or coming back with hooks. And again, we want to be able to utilize movement from here, either with our head or our feet as we do the cross guard. We don't want to just stand here like this and hope we block everything. Once we're doing this, we can move our head or our feet to make it more difficult for this person to find an easy, stable target. Next, let's talk about Mike Tyson's peekaboo style. What he would do is take his gloves and just put them right below eye level or even down to chin level. He would often lead with his head, but because this whole top portion of the face was entirely open, much of this style is based on constant head movement. You're able to block the body, you're able to block any low shots which are going to come, and you keep that head in motion very often, very dynamic on your footwork. If you're somebody who naturally is quite explosive and you find your head is able to rock around very fast, you're able to maintain head movement as you put forwards pressure on, then of course this might be a good style for you, but you need to be ultra aware that that forehead is completely open. And I've had many people tell me that their instructor says, put your hands here instead of here, because shots to the forehead don't really hurt that bad. No, a shot to the forehead, well, not as bad as one to the nose or the jaw, can still rock you. And something to the temple can just send you super dizzy. So you need to make sure that on this one, you're very dynamic through those feet and your head movement is extremely fast and on point. Now, the last one that I want to talk about, which we see more so in boxing as opposed to kickboxing, Muay Thai, or MMA, is the Philly shell. Now, the Philly shell can absolutely still be used in other striking sports aside from boxing, but because of the head kicks, we have to be extra careful. What are we looking to do in the Philly shell? Well, we're looking to turn our body sideways, to get one arm much lower than the other, to have the entire body pretty much blocked, have this side of the head completely covered, and then to use the shoulder and maybe a little bit of a rock back motion to make it very difficult for anybody to land straight shots. I can cover here, I can cover here, I can move my head, I can protect the body, and anything off a right hook is going to require me getting my head off that center line. The Philly shell is one which can be very frustrating to face because you're ultra dynamic on your counter with the cross. This cross is here, it's loaded up for just a little snap out. Every time somebody attacks, you're rolling back, you're countering. If they get too close, you just touch them and then get right back to head movement. This is a style though, a guard style that just takes lots of experience, and you should not just walk into a sparring session and just try this without drilling it first and understanding what the weaknesses are. Obviously with head kicks, anything off this side here is pretty much going to be very difficult to block. The only thing you really have, if you have to block and you forget about footwork or head movement, is bringing your shoulder up or this hand across. And in general, shoulder or one hand is not going to be enough to stop the full impact of the kick. But aside from that, this can be a very effective guard, a very frustrating guard for the person across from you. And one of the strengths which many people sleep on, in my opinion, is even though this hand is lower and the travel distance to head level is further, the angle coming upwards can actually split somebody's guard down below the chin. So on a traditional punch, I'm coming like this, but on this one, I can snap upwards. And it's almost like an uppercut snapping out. And that can make things very frustrating for somebody who has a guard like this, but is not ready to get their elbows across for that uppercut. Very long range, snapping, getting the head off the center line as they attack, quick counter, rolling around. The Philly shell is something which is very fun to try and utilize. So there are 5 guards for you to play around with. We have some pros, we have some cons, and hopefully that helps you understand these styles and maybe just experiment a little bit in your training with these alternatives. Thank you for joining, everybody. I will see you back here soon for another video.